So here it is, guys, the final part 3 of my series on the Pickup Day Game Bootcamp I did back in July 2007. From the best of my memory, let's get to it. So I've got some notes written down here from what I remember happening, to the best of my memory and best of my knowledge at the time. So we came back, and I think there was a review of the previous day once again. Then the girls came in the morning. These girls were different to the ones on day 2 that I do remember. The ones on day 2 knew what they were getting into. The ones on day 3 had no idea. And they quickly realised what we were doing, and they got into the groove. But once again, the feedback we were getting relative to what we were doing, of course, in an enclosed environment, getting feedback on what we really wanted to hear was not really anything like what it was like out in the real world. You can't act this out. The real world is not acted out. The real world is real. So we kept practicing with the direct approach in the room that we had, the big room that they had booked out in that hotel. We all practiced with the instructors and the girls till the instructors and the girls said that we had it right, and if we were approaching them in real life, they would have given us their phone number, contact details, etc. So that was the morning. Afternoon came, and I was set up with a different field instructor this time, a different instructor. He was also from the States. He's one of the other American guys, younger than me. Came along. He was from LA, I think. LA or San Fran. He was Californian. So we had to go out to the field and basically cold approach women once again, and this time go into more direct approaches. Direct approaches being coming up to a girl and saying, running up from a distance and saying, or walking up from a distance and saying, hey, you know what? I just wanted to come over and tell you you look really cute. I just wanted to come and say hi, or I just wanted to come and say hello because you look really cute, so I couldn't let you go by without saying that. Or the other one that they gave us was a kind of indirect to direct approach. It's like go up to someone and say, oh, do you have the time? And they might look for their watch, their phone, whatever it is, and then you interrupt them about 2 or 3 seconds in. You say, no, actually, don't worry, I don't need the time. I just wanted to come over here and flirt with you because I think you look really cute, or something along those lines. And then you go into some banter, and then hopefully that leads to some further rapport down the line, as we were being taught in the boot camp and in the practice. So once again we did go over the whole rapport thing. So once you approach direct, you go into a little bit of banter, or you don't have to when you go direct. If the girl's receptive, you just go into rapport. Now, I do remember that first thing we did, we had lunch with the instructor. We were going up, we were talking about a few things, talking about life and other things, and girls' life, etc., etc. So after lunch, we had 4 hours in the field, and I do recall that I remember the first approach. I went into this clothes shop, and she was a hired gun. She was working in the clothes shop, and I went up to her and said, I walked past the shop and I saw you standing there working here. I couldn't walk past without coming and saying hello to such a beautiful looking woman. And then I've introduced myself. That was the first approach I did, and she was a bit taken aback by that, and she was working, so I don't think she wanted to be disturbed, and she was actually okay. She was chatting with me a little bit, and then unfortunately security came in and moved me on. Yeah, that didn't end too well. Then most of the approaches I did that day, I got the response of, as soon as you go direct with a girl, like, hey, hi, I just saw you walking here. I think you're really cute. I want to come and say hi. Most girls on the direct approach, I'd say about 80 to 90% of the ones I approached, straight out off the bat, without getting anywhere into it, told me straight away, oh, I'm sorry, I've got a boyfriend. Oh, I've got a boyfriend, I'm sorry. They use the boyfriend line when you go direct to kind of put you right out of it straight away. You're coming in with a very direct approach. They're coming back with a very direct rejection. And that's what I found a lot of the time. It wasn't just me. Afterward, when we came back into the big room to discuss, how we'd all gone, another guy, the guy who lived 2 hours north of Sydney, he was chatting with me. And he said, "Did you get a lot of responses from girls where they straight away said, 'Sorry, I got a boyfriend'?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Yeah, me too." He said, "It seems to be common when you go direct with a girl, they just come straight away and they say, 'Oh, sorry, I got a boyfriend,' to shut you down, because you're going in with a sledgehammer and they're coming back at you with a sledgehammer." And I kind of agreed with him. I said, "Yeah, that was most of my experiences as well." So it wasn't just me who had that problem. There was a couple of things that really stuck out. So once again, I remember I was walking down the street and I approached these two girls, or one girl, and she was Indian. She was from the country India. She probably born there. I don't think she was born here. So I went up and did the direct approach, and the other one came in straight away. She's like not cock blocking or not blocking me at all. She's just saying, the girl just straight away rejected me. And then, from what I remember, the Indian girl, she said, no, look, sorry, I've got no time, goodbye, what do you want, goodbye. She walked on quickly in a hurry, and her friend hurried on with her, and the friend didn't quite hear what I asked her, what I told her. So all I could hear as they were running off or walking off quickly, her friend asking her, "Oh, what was he saying? What did he tell you? What did he tell you?" And that's all I heard. I think that, and then I saw them talking as they walked on. She had a bit of a laugh. I think the girl I approached had a bit of a laugh, and they just kept walking on. There was one woman. She was an Australian woman. She was a blonde-haired Australian woman. I remember this very well. There's a shopping mall, a small shopping mall in Sydney called World Square. And I remember I went direct, and they taught us how to use Keno. When you talk to a woman, you put your hands like this, and you give them a touch slightly, so you get their attention that someone's in their space, and you do it for less than a second, just like, hey, I just wanted to come over and say something. Just so they get used to your touch, so that's what we were taught. And I did that. I went up to this Australian woman, and I did that, and I said, "Hey," and I gave her a light touch. I said, I just wanted to come over and say hi. I think you look really cute. And she gave me this look like she wanted to throw a spear at me. And then she said, "Did you just touch me?" I said, "Oh, yeah, it was just to get your attention. I didn't mean to startle you or cause any problem." She goes, "Don't touch me, okay? Do not touch me." I said, "Oh, all right, I'm really, really terribly sorry about that. I'm sorry." She said, "Well, what did you want anyway?" I said, No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll just leave it there." And I just walked on. So that one was really memorable to me for all the wrong reasons. Most of the time, though, I've got the girlfriend excuse. A lot of the time I touched women, they were okay with it. That was one exception that I do remember. And then the instructor towards the end, it was reaching the last half hour. I was close to where we were going, the hotel that they booked out. I was just around the corner, actually, a few streets up, making my way back in, and he said, "Well, I can't let you go away today without at least getting one phone number." So there was a girl crossing the road. Was on a flashing red light, so it was about to, the green light, the green man then goes to the flashing red man, which means basically hurry up. If you're crossing the road, if you haven't crossed the road, don't cross. So we were crossing the road, and I just quickly bolted across to her. I started chatting with her. She had a friend. I went direct, and she had a bit of a laugh. And I said, "No, I've got no time now. I've got to go somewhere. Can I get you a number?" And she goes, "No, sorry, I've got a boyfriend." I said, "Look, doesn't matter. Just give me your number, and I'll get in touch with you." And her friend goes, "Yeah, just give it to him. Just give it to him." So she gave me her number, which afterward, when I tried to call later on, turned out to be a fake number. So I got a number, but it was fake. And the instructor was happy because I got the number. And we went back to the hotel, and we went for a debrief. It was a catch-up, a debrief. And so that one guy I was telling you about, he got the same response from almost all women that he approached. He said, "I'm sorry, I got a girlfriend." And I asked him, "Do you have any success?" He said, "No, he didn't." I said, "I got a number." But obviously later on, a day or two after when I tried to call, realised it was a fake number. There was another guy, the other guy I was talking about in the first video, his name was Simon. I think his name was Simon. Anyway, that's not his real name. Anyway, he was a solicitor, and him and I were probably the best. I was closest to him in the whole thing. And he told me, he said, you know what they're teaching us is good. I said, yeah, I think so too. He said, yeah, but it's not good to use on a place where you're going in for cold approach. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, these rapport techniques work well with people you already know. He said what they're teaching us to do with approaching women the way they teach us to approach, directly or indirect on a cold approach, really doesn't get a woman comfortable enough during the day to straight away go into any kind of rapport with you. And he said, I think it works. I think that what they teach us, all these conversation techniques and rapport building techniques in the seminar, the boot camp we're doing, works. But it only works well with women who already know you or who are in your social circle or you're introduced to. And he said, yeah, I'd use this, but only with women I either know in my social circle or I'm introduced to. I wouldn't use this cold approaching women anymore. I said, really? He said, yeah. So I guess what I gather from him saying that was he had very little success cold approaching women as well, even though it was the art of rapport day game. And the other thing I do remember was there was one good-looking guy in our boot camp. He was the best looking out of all of us. He was younger, a bit younger than all of us. He worked in the travel industry by profession. I won't say what he did, but he was bragging to me. I was one-on-one with him. We were having a glass of water in the stand. He was like, oh, the girl down in the reception, the Chinese girl who works down at the front desk in the hotel. I said, yeah. He says, oh, I use the techniques on this whole what they taught us to do, and I used all these techniques, and she wants to go out with me. I got her phone number, and she's committed to going out on a date with me. I said, really? He said, yeah. The Chinese girl who works down at the desk, the Chinese Australian girl working down at the desk, she's really into me, and I was using all the techniques on her, and it worked, and I got her number, and she's told me she wants to go out with me. I wouldn't put it past him. He was probably the best looking guy on the whole boot camp. He was the best looking guy, not probably. And what can I say? It worked because he's better looking than all of us, the rest of us in that boot camp. That's all I could really say. And I didn't think much of it at the time, but looking back on it, that's what I did realise. Now, later that evening, they got us to stay back. So this was a late Sunday night. And we had a group, about an hour after we had the debrief, a group of guys came in and they were presenting, the company I did it for were presenting the boot camp to these guys, and they were trying to sell the day game and their night game boot camp as well. And it was a sales event, and they'd actually charged me, and I don't know how much it was, maybe $100 or so to come and attend this seminar. So they showed us this video where I think it was from the movie What Women Want with Helen Hunt and Mel Gibson, where he's ringing on the doorbell and begging like, oh, Darcy, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to say that. And he's begging like a true beggar, like a simp, and she lets him in. And he ends up bullying her in the room and making love to her later that night. And he says, you see, and the instructor said, you see, you bear yourself out to women, you open yourself up to a woman. This is classic for the art of rapport. You open yourself up to a woman, and a woman likes you, and she takes you in, and she loves you for it, and you get to have sex and all these wonderful things by bearing yourself to a woman, by being open and being honest and telling her your true feelings for her. She will have respect for you, and she will fall in love with you, and she will want to have sex with you, like what we saw in this movie. But of course, at the time, I was in a different headspace. I was blue pill, thinking, yeah, this might work. And they were trying to sell this to the new guys who came in. But now looking back on it, it was all a con job, because we know that doesn't work. Women are only like that with men that they're actually physically attracted to from the beginning. They won't do that to any man that they meet on the street or in the bar, unless they're already physically attracted to him, and give him the green light to open up, be open and honest with her, as long as she's happy for him to do that and she's already attracted to him. So that was the selling video, and then they gave a little talk about what it's about, the day game and the night game boot camps that they do. And they asked if anyone had questions. A few guys put up their hands. They had questions. They kind of gave a brief outline of what they do, what they teach, and how it will be implemented. And then they said, we've had these guys, these 5 guys, who just finished up the Art of Rapport day game boot camp, and they will present themselves to you and tell you a little bit about their experiences. So, so we all went one after the other, and then it was my turn, and I went up and I talked about my experience. Me, or skinny, non-muscular, 5'6" bald guy. There was a young guy there in the audience. He was I was telling them about the woman I ran down on the bicycle, the horror stories, the good stories, the number closes I got at the time, which I didn't know were going to flake or be the wrong number. But there was one young guy there. He would have been in his probably early 20s, maybe 20, 21. He wasn't a big guy. He had a very pretty boy face. He was a young, pretty boy. Not a big muscular guy, but just a very pretty boy face. And he came up to me. He didn't come up to me afterwards. So we all presented all the guys who did the boot camp presented talked about what happened and what we did. Then what happened was they got a few guys to sign up and pay on the night, give their credit card details, and pay for either their day game or night game. So what happened was about a month after that, in August, this company called me back. They said, you're a former student, we're short of one guy for our instructors, for our wingmen. So why don't we want you to come in, and you can take it as a rerun if you'd like, but we'd also like you to be one of our field instructors. I said, yeah, sure, that's okay, I can do that. I was still in the blue pill mindset at the time. And I went in for the rerun. I went in on the Friday night. We did all the same exercises, and I was one of the guys who was giving a talk to the guys about, what to expect, what you do. I was redid my deep rapport story with them all. Redid everything. All was good. Saturday I came back, and this guy who they got to sign up, this young kid, this pretty boy, was in the day game boot camp. And they assigned me to take him out in the field. So I took him out. I did what my instructors did. I took him out. I went to, I think it was a cafe in the Queen Victoria building in Sydney. We sat down, we had lunch. He was having a chat with me. He was picking my brain. I was talking to him. All was good. And I said, all right, let's go. We're done with lunch. You've got 4 hours today to indirect approach. And I'll just be walking around like my instructor. When I was a student, my instructor would just hover around some of the distance, maybe do a bit of window shopping, walk around, keep me in at eye's length, but he wouldn't pretend not to be associated with me. So I said, all right, so you approach, and when you approach a girl, you tell me which girl you want to approach, and I'll say, yeah, that's a good idea, you can approach. And what I'll do is I'll give you some space, I'll walk around, I'll do my own thing, but I'll keep an eye on you just to make sure look at how things are going. And then I might give you some feedback about, your body language and the way you came in, your body language and the way you tell me what you said, and I can give you some feedback on that as well. So we're walking around, and he spots this cute young blonde girl, probably about his age, maybe a year younger, but probably it would be. She looked about his age. They looked about age similar, and she was actually very, very good looking. She was a really cute, very attractive young blonde Australian girl, I think she was. And he approached her. I said, yeah, go in, do what we taught you in the camp, and go in and approach and direct. So this guy goes in, and he's approached her, and she's window shopping, and he's doing everything like, the hands, the body language, talking to her for a while. And I thought, this is going all right. This is not how my first approach went. I did talk to a few. I did get a few long conversations with women, but they never panned out with anything. What happened was this guy ended up leaving with her. He left the building, the Queen Victoria building, QVB, with her. They walked out together. I tried to follow them. I lost them. Anyway, I was roaming around the city for 3 hours. I went back to the hotel a little bit early, maybe about a half hour, an hour early. And the head instructor was there. He said, "Oh, what happened to your student?" I said, "Well, he went off with a girl on a date. He had an instant date." He said, "Oh, that is excellent. That is what we love to see. That's what we love to hear." Anyway, this guy came back about 20 minutes into the debrief. He came back. And yes, he said, yeah, I was out with her all afternoon. Took her out for a coffee. We went shopping together. She kissed me goodbye. I got her details and I'm here. Now, you put two and two together. And this guy was a young, he was early 20s, probably no more than 21, probably 20. Pretty boy. He was I remember him very well. He really good looking face. Not a good body, a decent body, not fat. But he was a really good looking guy. And he told me something. He told me that on the second day, on the Sunday, he had more success as well with going direct. And he was a good-looking guy. He was the best-looking guy in that group. He was the best-looking guy out of my group and his group combined. But he wasn't paired with me on the second day. I was paired with another guy, an older guy, who was getting similar reactions to me. He had a couple of decent long conversations with women, but most of the time he was getting blown off straight away. And he was asking me what am I doing wrong. I said, no, just keep going, mate. You're right. Just, you got to push to get into rapport a bit more. And I was blue-pilled at the time. I didn't know much. And I felt bad for the guy. I felt the guy was getting scammed at that time. But I didn't want to say it. But I had to play along. And this guy, he came back with nothing the second day, the older guy. He came back with absolutely nothing. No numbers, nothing to show for it. A couple of decent conversations with women his own age. I think he was mid-30s at the time. I was early 30s. He was in maybe late 30s, I think. And he had a couple of conversations with girls in the late 30s, early 40s bracket that went all right, but nothing to show for it. But I remember the debrief on that last day. And this guy I took out on the first day, this young pretty boy, he told me this. He said, I wasn't going to sign up for this day game boot camp. I said, really? He said, no, I wasn't. He said, then I saw you talk that night after you did yours a month ago. And I said to myself, I realised that if a guy who looks like you, looks like me, can do this and have success, then surely a guy who looks like me can also have success. That's what he told me. So he based his whole signing up on this boot camp, which he probably didn't need. Maybe he was shy. He was a little bit shy, but his looks got him through. But he based this whole signing up on this boot camp on the fact that I sold him a couple of success stories in that overview that we gave after our boot camp that Sunday evening. And he thought to himself, if I can get success from this, then he can. A guy who looks like him can as well. Because I'm bald, I'm short, I'm not muscular. And I was in my early 30s at the time. This guy was at least 10 years younger than me, maybe more. Better looking than me. Straight away, this guy realised if I can do it, he can do it and have success. So he signed up and he got the success. Did he need it? Well, he was a little bit shy to begin with. Maybe he needed it in that way. Maybe he needed to learn some rapport and approaching skills. But the success at the end of the day spoke for itself. And I think on the second day, from memory, he got about 3 or 4 more phone numbers. I don't think he had an instant day, but he had about 3 or 4 more phone numbers. So for a guy like that, much easier game. For guys like me and the guy, the fat guy who did it, came all the way from Western Australia, from a mining job to do it, and maybe 1 or 2 other guys in mine as well as in the second one. There was an Asian guy in the second one, and he got success. He was a Chinese-born Australian guy. He had success approaching a couple of Chinese girls in Chinatown, from memory. But apart from maybe him and a couple of others, no one really had success. No real meaty success from this boot camp, which has led me to question PUA over the whole period in time, and made me realise that this whole thing is one big scam. And if you have the looks up front, it's going to be a lot easier for you to begin with. And no matter what you're taught, it doesn't matter what you do with it, whether you implement it, as they say, which I did for about a year and a bit afterward and kept doing it without success. Doesn't matter whether you do it or you don't. At the end of the day, women screen by straight away. They'll take an instant look at you. They'll look at you and they'll judge you within, say, first 5 seconds, maybe even less, maybe even milliseconds. And they'll straight away determine whether they want to talk to you or not, whether they want to go out with you or not, whether they want to have sex with you or not. And that's what I realised, apart from, realising that women don't want to be approached during the day if they're busy or they're not attracted to you and they're not giving you signals to approach them, that it's a lot easier for better-looking men. And not everything that PUAs will teach you if you're below average is ever going to work for you. In fact, it may never work for you. And that's all I have to say today. I'm glad I was able to get this third part out in these trying times that we're in. Quarantine still on the cards here and still in lockdown, but I do believe that a lot of this stuff is not being told to us. It's really over-exaggerated, the dangers of this, and people are running scared sensibly, but really I don't think for the reasons, the over-the-top reasons that they're telling us to be this way. And I think these restrictions that have been put on us are a little bit overkill. I don't think personally, just talking about the off-topic now on this virus, I don't think I think the virus is real, but I don't think it's as deadly as they make it out to be, and it's only deadly to people who've already got pre-existing conditions in a certain age bracket. A lot of these people are dying already from their pre-existing conditions who contract COVID-19 are basically saying they're put down to COVID-19 deaths, where the real death occurred from whatever it was, the cancer, the diabetes, the heart problem, whatever it was. That's not being told to us. And my parents have a couple of friends who went on a cruise ship, disembarked a cruise ship, a famous cruise ship now that pulled into Sydney Harbour in mid-March. The name is all over the place if you want to read it. It's one of the Princess ships. They had been tested positive for the virus. Now, I don't know how accurate or false positive these tests are, but still today they show no symptoms, and they're elderly as well. So, and they've had no pre-existing health conditions either, according to my parents. So, really, is the danger as big as we make it out to be? Is it really that bad? And do we need to be really locked down for a few people who've got some pre-existing medical conditions? I don't think we do. I honestly think we've gone too far, and that's my whole take on it. And surely this madness has to end sometime soon. Thank you again for listening. I'm Man Overboard. You have yourselves a great evening, day, afternoon, wherever you are. Bye.